Well, I thought what Paul Finebaum had to say on Wednesday about the college football playoff was very curious and interesting. And I wanted to go over for you. He actually had a lot to say. Just stick with me here. He um, he was very pro SEC, which I don't think anybody who's watching this that's a sort of an SEC hater is confused by. But with that said, um, I I think a lot of what he said was true. Here's what he started off with. He said, "I can go crazy and scream and holler, but the committee just wanted to deny a number one versus number two matchup in the regular season," which is a very interesting, um, well, take. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. Um, he said, "Nobody wants to hear what I have to say," which is not true. But you could very well argue that Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama all deserve to be in. That is not SEC bias. The SEC is by far the best conference. It has five of the top 11 schools right now. By this committee, that speaks for itself. Only Ohio State could compete with the SEC at a high level, Michigan to a lesser degree. Nobody else can. And then he starts talking about Georgia and the Oregon situation. He says, Oregon very well could win the Pac 12. They lost to Georgia by 46 points. Is it even possible to have the conversation that schools like that deserve to be in this conversation? And he says, Georgia went out and got a top 10 win, and everybody laughed at the time. Yeah, I mean, they beat their freaking brains in. I mean, it was insane how bad Georgia beat them. Um, I thought Georgia would win that game. I think Georgia will beat Tennessee. I'm not sure I see anything close to Georgia beating Tennessee like they beat Oregon, and it remains to be seen if they're going to beat Tennessee, right? So, but I thought Georgia was sort of the word comfortably better. The phrase comfortably better seems like where I was at going in that thing. I'm not sure that's where I fit on the Tennessee game, but anyway, hey, listen, make sure that you're getting in line for the Kelee Ringo signature. You do not have to be there. You still will get the book. You still will get any one thing that you want signed. It can be the book. You can, but we had more people sign up today. We're kind of the spots are going away. So make sure you're picking that up. The details are down below. We're having it at Red Zone, which is where you can get this shirt. Red Zone in Athens on Clayton Street. If you go in and pick up the book today, a Talk Kirby shirt, a Talk Kirby to Me shirt, will be yours for free while supplies last. Can't do it forever. Everything runs out, and that Kelee event is going to run out. You're going to be able to meet him, say hello, say how important he was for you. No, we're not going to talk for 16 minutes each, but we are going to give y'all the ability to meet a hero for sure in the Georgia world. But take advantage of that now. And what Paul is kind of pointing out here, I've talked about, again, I know I've said this a lot this week, but I've talked about the committee more this week than I think I have over the period of time that the college football playoff has existed. If you are not for expansion, this year will scare the absolute hell out of you, because it is a moment in time where you can sit there and see that a top four team was left out this week and very well could get left out in the future. And we did not learn our lesson in 2018 about putting teams in that deserve to be in versus the best four teams. It's going to get to the point with the SEC where, you know, okay, let's play it out a little bit further. All right, the Rebels have a 25-point loss on the road to LSU. I do not think that Ole Miss will win the SEC. I do not. But okay, LSU is in total control of their own destiny. I do not think LSU will win the SEC, but you know they still can. Obviously, Alabama can. We know if the winner from the West wins the conference, they will have one loss. We know that. The likelihood of the winner from the East having a loss is relatively low. What happens if one loss Mississippi wins the SEC? What happens if one loss Alabama wins the league? I think we know they go. What happens if two-loss LSU, like Georgia did in '05, wins the league? Okay, does that knock out Tennessee? That knocks out Alabama, obviously. Are you telling me that one-loss Tennessee that would have lost the game in Athens would not deserve to be in the playoff? Are you telling me that one-loss Georgia, who was upset at the Dome, would not deserve to be in the playoff? I mean, that's the challenge. The good news with the SEC is you've got a lot of margin for error because you can play big games. I mean, Georgia at minimum has two big games remaining. You cannot say that about Clemson. You cannot say that about Texas Christian. You cannot say that. I think in their own world, you can say that about USC and Oregon. I'm not sure they've got two big games left from November on. They've got at least the Pac-12 championship game. And I mean, I don't know if SC's already played Oregon, so I mean Utah. So uh, there are still some games to go out there. You can't say that about the ACC. What, like North Carolina? Come on, man. What are we? What? What? No. We got to stop it. So that's why an expanded playoff is the best news possible for college football because I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to go overboard on the committee. They're trying to do their job. They're just not, I mean, clearly they are not equipped at explaining their actions from the other night because there is no explanation for that. I've been through that. I'm not going to keep talking about it. I just don't, I can't rationalize. It makes no sense. There's so many reasons why it makes no sense. None of it. If it's y'all see, y'all think I have like a blood pressure thing. I don't. I do not. But if you're going to go with Tennessee at one, you can't go Ohio State at two. You have to go Clemson at two because they have the best, whatever that metric is. If you're going by eye test, you cannot possibly put Michigan behind Clemson. And honestly, I'm not sure you can have Alabama so far down. Whatever. I mean, I test you're going to really put LSU at 10? Like, what the hell are we doing right now? They need an expanded playoff because I am concerned. I am way beyond concerned that they're not going to get this right. And Paul's frustration in the first sentence here, saying I could go crazy and scream and holler, but the committee just wanted to deny one versus two matchup in the regular season. And Paul, they still got one versus two. We're going by AP. I mean, we can't, you know, there are three rankings, and until the postseason, you know, the college football playoff rankings are about as important as well. They're more important than the AP and the coaches, but you know, we go by AP. I've said that for a long time. You kind of you got to pick what you're doing at this point in the year, though. You should talk about all three rankings because I mean I just don't know, but AP is what I use in my history. When I'm talking about things because the college football playoff didn't exist in 1997 when Georgia beat Florida or was upset by Auburn. I mean, so you know that's why I stick with AP. It's a better barometer. But anyway, um, it is. It just doesn't make sense to stack it up the way they did. Now, I don't know what Paul is he suggesting. Now I'm going to put words in his mouth. You're welcome, Paul. Is he trying to say that Disney wouldn't allow CBS to have a one versus two? CBS can say this is one versus one right now. I mean, that's what I would be doing. I would be saying this is number one versus number one. Who's the real number one? We will know. And to everyone saying, well, this doesn't matter. I mean, everything matters. It all matters. You know, no, it doesn't matter in what Oregon was ranked when Georgia beat them by whatever it was. No, that did not matter. But now this does matter because it gives us insight into the committee. And the committee is going to sit here with a straight face and explain to us that we're going to go Tennessee at one and then Ohio State at two, even though Ohio State's best win is not as good as the team behind them's best win. Okay, then when we're going to compare Clemson and Georgia, we're going to completely ignore what we did with Ohio State and Georgia, which was the eye test. Now we're going to say again, excuse me, we're going to say once more that the eye test is in place for Georgia and Clemson, but the eye test is not in store for Clemson and Michigan. And then, what in the world are we talking about right now? Like, what? There's no consistency at all. And Georgia had better make certain, because of the inconsistency of this whack job committee right now, that they win on Saturday. I mean, my prevailing thought is that Tennessee is in very good position and Clemson is in very good position. One of those is not like the other, okay? But Clemson can't help that they're playing in the ACC, and Tennessee cannot help that they play in the SEC. They are both in really good position. I do not know that I would say in 4 weeks when we get to Thanksgiving after the Kelee Ringo event, I don't know that I can sit here and say that, I would think that Clemson would be a top four team. Maybe they will look like that by then. They have not looked close to a top four team at any stage this year. Maybe the NC State team, the week they look like a top, 7 or something like that. But we're going to get to the point where if they win, they're going to get in. So we're going to get into this thing again where it's not going to be the best four teams. It's going to be the most deserving four teams. If you go undefeated in your league, 13-0, you deserve a chance to win the national championship. But is that what we're doing? Because if that's what we're doing, then the SEC is in the worst possible position possible. Because only one team can win the league undefeated each year. Right now, we've only got two teams that can do it: the Vols and the Dogs. That's it. I understand Paul's frustration because it's not well explained. It's not explained at all, frankly. And when David Pollack is confused, and honestly, when I'm confused, I think there's a problem. I'll just put it to you that way.